Developing your offhand and becoming ambidextrous. Welcome back to Streetball Strategies.
8-ball pin up in the pocket. Took off from the Rockets, I'm Harden. Defeat or defeat, I'm heartless. We keep on target. We don't wait. Gotta make a.
So this is going to be one of those obvious videos where, do you know the gist of what I'm probably going to say? Yeah, you probably do, but that doesn't mean that there's not value here and that you can't actually walk away from this video having learned something that you can genuinely use to make your game better. Let's start with passing. So when it comes to passing, you need to be able to pass and catch passes with either hand, but not just with either hand, also on either side of the basket. So whether you're a big man down in the post or you're a small guy out on the perimeter, what's going on by being able to have passing with either hand and catching passes with either hand is that now you are allowing yourself as many angles when it comes to passing as possible. So the more angles you have, the more options you have. The more options you have, the more weapons you have. The more weapons you have, the less weaknesses you have in your game that the defense then can use against you. Dude, this is hard. It's like 36 degrees outside, and it's the first cold video of the year of 2021 in the winter, and it's giving me a hard time. I gotta figure something out. I can't. This cold weather stuff is not good for my recording career. Next, let's talk about shooting, but specifically shooting at the rim, towards the rim, finishing at the rim. Obviously, you need to be able to finish at the rim with either hand. Doing so just allows you more options when you're at the basket. For instance, ideally, if you were on the right side of the basket and you were driving with your right hand on the right side of the basket, you would finish a layup at the rim with your right hand. But many times, the defense is going to adjust and is not going to allow you that simple layup. So you're going to have to adjust on the fly and maybe finish with your left hand. Maybe even, going off the wrong foot. Can you do that? Do you have that option? Do you have that skill set? If you do, you're a much more well-rounded player and a harder player to guard because you have less weaknesses in your game. Big guys in the paint, you need to be able to shoot and finish with either hand. You need to be able to shoot over either shoulder. You don't want to present the defense with the obvious weakness that you can shoot on one side of the basket in the paint but not the other, because then they'll double team you or force you to your negative side. Either way, you don't want to have that weakness and you don't want it to be so obvious to the defense. Now when it comes to dribbling, I feel that dribbling is the most crucial element to be able to being ambidextrous and developing your offhand. If you're the ball handler, you can't move unless you dribble the ball. You're not allowed to move if you have the ball in your possession. And if you have a weak offhand and you can't dribble in this direction with this hand very well at all, you're severely limited now as a ball handler. If you can only really dribble on your right side effectively, that means you can only really move to the right effectively. Sure, you could turn your body towards the defense and dribble and have the ball out facing the defense, but obviously that's dangerous and it's irresponsible. You don't want to expose the ball to the defense like that. Or you could turn your back to the defense and dribble with the ball away from the defense while moving backwards, but you don't want to do that either because you can't see what's behind you. It's just ineffective, certainly not ideal. These basic elements of offense, passing, shooting, dribbling, if you don't have an offhand, if you can't move comfortably in any direction and use your hands and your legs and your feet and either side of your body comfortably, you are sending major signals to the defense that you have weaknesses that they can then exploit and use against you, and they're weaknesses that you don't need to have and you can fix relatively easily. And let's talk about how to do that right now. So when we're talking about building a new skill, it doesn't matter what it is, but obviously in this case we're talking about developing your offhand. When you're doing that, the most important element to learning that skill being able to learn it as quickly and as efficiently as possible, to me is enjoyment. Let me explain. So this is not a channel where I prescribe you drills. I'm not a drill guy. I don't give you guys drills in order to learn how to do stuff. The reason for that is not because I don't think they work. They absolutely do work. Drills are the fastest, most efficient way to learn a skill. That's why they are developed and coached. But if you're watching this, I'm assuming because this is a street channel that you are probably not being coached on a daily or regular basis. So when you're practicing, when you're training, you're doing it by yourself, just like I do. And if you're like me, drills feel like work. And because they feel like work, to me, they get boring and tedious rather quickly. So when I was learning how to develop my offhand, I would force myself to do those drills, give up soon thereafter, and then instead of drilling, I would just start shooting around using almost exclusively my offhand. Now, I don't encourage shooting around as a general rule, because casual players will shoot around and there's no structure to it. There's no point, there's no intention. Sure, it's enjoyable, but you don't really accomplish anything by shooting around. But when there is a goal, when there is intention, when there is structure to you shooting around, there definitely can be benefits to it. And because I enjoy shooting around, because I enjoy simulating and mimicking game situations using my offhand and developing it, because it's fun to do that, especially in comparison to doing just flat out drills, I can shoot around for an hour easily and it doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel tedious to do. As opposed to doing drills, I can do like 10 minutes of drills compared to an hour of shooting around. One feels like torture that I just want to get over with, and the other I enjoy doing, and after an hour it feels like maybe 10 minutes of work that I've done. So do you see the discrepancy in volume here? Let's talk about why that is important. Should have brought coffee. I'm such a wimp when it comes to the cold weather. So when we're talking about developing a new skill, volume and amount of repetition is key, especially when you're developing a new physical skill, because when you're doing that, what you're trying to build and learn is coordination and muscle memory. It's just human nature that when you're developing those things, it takes a lot of repetition in order to get comfortable and have it feel like second nature. That repetition is going to take a lot of time in order to complete. And in that time, what's creating the use of that time is the volume and amount of time you're putting into practicing and the repetitions that you're putting up in terms of building that new skill. Are you going to put in that time to something that you are not enjoying doing? I could have done only drills to develop my offhand, but again, I only have the stomach, the patience, the tolerance to do that for 10 minutes every day, as opposed to working on exclusively my offhand for an hour at least every day, shooting around, having structure and intention and a goal when it comes to shooting around using my offhand. It's an hour of time versus 10 minutes of time every day. So while yes, doing drills is the most effective way to learn a new skill, if you're not going to do the drills because you don't enjoy them, then you should find something else to do that you enjoy that's going to develop that skill. So find something, do whatever you need to do that works that skill and is enjoyable. If it's doing drills for you, then that's a great. How lucky are you that drilling is fun for you? But whatever it is that you choose to do, make sure that you enjoy it and it works the actual skill. Those are my thoughts on developing your offhand and becoming ambidextrous. I don't like drills. I find them to feel like work, and so therefore I don't use them myself very much unless I feel like they are specifically needed. If I did like doing drills, then it's much more likely I would be an organized basketball player than a street ball player. I much more prefer figuring out what works for me out here on the court, and then figuring out ways to practice doing those things that don't feel like drills but yet still are effective. And so that's what I advise you guys to do as well. My thought process is that I just assume you guys care about what you're doing out here, and you're serious, intelligent, reasonable players, and so you'll take what I say and then figure out how to apply it to your specific game, thus adding real value and skill and ability to your legacy out here. So thank you guys for watching. If you did find this video helpful, a thumbs up would be great. And make sure you subscribe. Subscribing is huge for me. It's the biggest thing you guys can do to support me at this point in this channel's life cycle. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I really cannot tell you how much I appreciate it. Also hit that notification bell so it's guaranteed that you're notified of when my new videos come out. You're not always notified because of YouTube's algorithm doesn't always notify you of new videos unless you hit that notification button. So make sure you click that button so you know when all of my new videos come out. And until next week, hopefully it's warmer, and I will see you guys then.
Climb to the top, then you reset your goals. We do not stop for a bump in the road. Countdown is running, I'm ready to go. So get you a seat and start watching the show. Legendary like all my idols, coming for it all, and I can't wait. Success just called and I got me a date. So I grab my ambitions and I'm on my way. Cross the wrong line and it's bad news. Might get burnt like a candle, we too hot to handle. World at my feet like a sandal. I only move when I plan to, your moves could get canceled.